Sometimes we just guess the answer, but with this correct. Maybe at the time we were very lucky, but we don't understand anything. Besides those advantages, teachers can get problems. If the number of answer sheet is not much, this can be done manually. However, the question is, what if the number is already very large? Of course, this will create human error. This is where the advantage of automatic assessment comes in. Okay, the second reason automatic assessment system are effective for tasks like matching answer, multiple choice question, short text essay. However, they face significant challenge when dealing with handwritten mathematics essays due to their unstructured format. Okay, next, document layout analysis or DALA is the important step for automatic assessment. The step of automatic assessment is shown in the figure. The first answer sheet to DLA, to OCR, or optical character recognition, and automatic assessment, true or false. For the gap, For the gap, some, as in the previous slide, format as answer sheet, not much have been done. A study was conducted in 2023, but it is only focused on the answer sheet that were formatted on the paper. The student focused on the specific section they had to write. For their purpose, it is a format free. Students are given the freedom to write anything on any part of the paper. Okay, in this research, beside document layout analysis or the DLA, we focus on improving the detection of incorrect text, which often appears scribbles or wrong answer, to minimize error in the OCR process. Incorrect text is the annotation with the lowest accuracy due to its small size, irregular shape, and high variability. By accurately identifying and isolating this element, we enhance the precision of OCR in handling handwritten maths and source sheet. Next, let's start the material part. Our total data set is 4,685 images, which are divided to training set, validation set, test set. For annotation, each image in the dataset has been annotated with 6 key categories, ensuring the comprehensive training and evaluation. The first image, including graphs, table, diagrams, dimensional shape, and illustration found in both the question and the answer. Next, identity, the label of personal information, incorrect text. This section refers to the text written by student that was later deleted or corrected, either by crossing out, erasing, rewriting, and the answer considered incorrect. Math text refers to the content calculation formulas and other mathematical expression writing by student. Number, this refers to the section indicate the sequence of question or answer. The last answer the answer marker is the opening part of the response given the student. It is usually written as jawab, jawaban, pembahasan, penyelesaian, or similar terms. On the right, you can see the example of the annotation are applied. Okay, in this research, we use YOLO version 8. YOLO version 8 is deep learning model specifically designed for object detection. Unlike traditional and machine learning methods, deep learning models like YOLO version 8 can automatically learn feature from data trained, making them more effective for complex tasks. YOLO version 8 improves the previous version with simpler and more efficiency, architecture, better accuracy, and faster performance. Okay, there is a backbone, and there is a head which consists the several modules. This is the module, convolution, C2F, SPPF, and others. Okay, in this methodology, the YOLO version backbone was modified to improve the efficiency and accuracy. Yes. First, one C2F layers was removed, reducing the number of model parameters and computational complex. Then a CBAM or convolution block attention module was added to the final layer to enhance the model ability focus on the important feature. This challenge make the model lighter and more sensitive to small and complex objects. Finally, the optimization process was enhanced using particle swarm optimization or PSO, which fine-tunes hyperparameters for better performance. This combined approach ensure a balance between efficiency and accuracy. Okay, the next the result. This table shows the while improvement across most classes are relatively similar. The most significant increase is observed in the incorrect text class. Yeah. For MAP, recall, and precision, this class demonstrates the large gains with precision improving 51.1 to 60.73, and the MAP rising from 13.8 to 18.17. After adding CBAM and optimizing the PS with PSO, this highlights the model's enhanced ability to handle the most challenging class effectively. Okay, next in the additional and improving accuracy and detecting incorrect text, this result also highlight the broader impact of modifying the YOLO version 8 backbone. The change, such as reducing layer and parameters, not only enhance the accuracy, but also significantly improve the model's efficiency. This includes this reduction in size, gradients, G-flops, yes, making the model lighter, faster, and more sustainability for real-time application. Okay, for discussion and conclusion. The incorrect text has the small amount data in the dataset, and most objects this class are smaller compared to objects from other classes. However, the variation across these classes is quite diverse, especially in the incorrect text class. These three factors contribute to the low value for MEP, recall, and precision. However, the additional of CBAM and application of PSO method successfully increase the MIP accuracy, the recall, and the precision and precision. This improve highlights the effectively of CBAM and PSO to consistently improve this class in various measurement metrics. Incorrect text, within the bounding box of mathematical text can disrupt the OCR process, leading to inaccuracies in interpreting the intent content. By accurately detecting and isolating incorrect text from mathematical text, and the OCR model precision enhanced. Okay, the last. For conclusion, this research demonstrates the modifying YOLO version 8 by integrating CBAM and removing the C2F layers enhance effectively and performs for DLA on unstructured hair weighting and source sheet. The modification reduces model complexity while improving sensitivity to small and complex patterns like incorrect text. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for the presentation, Miss Nur. So, audience, if you have a question, please raise your hand in the feature of Zoom, or maybe you can type your answer, your question to the chat. So first we have from, B1, Miss Amelia.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you for that insightful presentation for Miss Ayu. And I have one question. Has this model been tested in the real-world environment, such as school or university, to create student answer sheet? Thank you. That
Okay, thank you, Miss Amelia. Currently, the model has only been tested using experimental datasets. but has not yet been implemented in an actual assessment system in a school or university. However, before the model can be tested in the real world condition, some adjustment still need to be made, especially in integrating optical character recognition or OCR and developing a complete automatic assessment system. Therefore, real-world trials will be only be feasible after these additional components are components components are refined and fully integrated. The current research was remains focused on improving detection accuracy and computational efficiency, which lay the groundwork for future implementation in real education environment. Okay, it is enough.
Yes, please, Miss Amelia.
That's enough from.
All right, thank you for the answer and the question. So next, Mr. Ahmad.
Okay. I have question for Miss Ayu. The question is, how was the data collection process conducted in the study, and what the methods were used to ensure the diversity and accuracy of the collected data? Is it clear, Miss Nur?
Okay, it's clear.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Ahmad ya. Okay. For your question, the data was randomly collected from several high schools across all grades level, including 10, 11, 12 grades, to ensure the diverse representation of student handwriting style. The data collection was carried out through two main methods. The first, from previous exam result, a portion of the data was obtained from archive answer sheet from the past exam. This method allows us to gather naturally written responses, reflection real-world student handwriting variation under actual test condition. The second, direct data collection. The majority of the data was obtained by asking students to write and answer question on the spot. This method ensure control over the data diversity, including different handwriting style and levels of legibility. In the total, we successfully collected the sample of student writing layout on both plain and lined paper. The dataset encompasses various answer format ranging from structured to unstructured layout, ensuring the model can generate well across different writing style and maybe exam condition. Okay, it is clear, Mr. Ahmad?
Yes, this is clear. Thank you, Miss Ayu.
All right, is there any other question? Less than 1 minute, if possible. Maybe if no, we can move to the next presenter. So thank you for Miss Ayu for the insightful presentation and the question and the answer. So now we can move to the third presenter, Eva Putriani, with title A Hierarchical Approach to Identify Snake Species with Resemble Visual Features. So Miss Eva, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Alaza. Okay, please allow me to introduce myself. I'm Eva, the first author of this study, and it's an honor to present our work today. The title of our research is a hierarchical approach to identify snake species with resemble visual features. Did my screen already seen?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. This is the content list of this presentation. The first one is introduction. So snakebite envenoming is recognized by World Health Organization as a top priority neglected tropical disease. Accurate snake identification is vital for ecological studies, public health, and biodiversity conservation. This study focused to addressing Batesian mimicry challenge in snake identification. Batesian mimicry is a phenomenon where non-venomous snake mimic venomous ones, and it complicates identification for humans and models. So the proposed model is aims to overcome mimicry-related challenge by improving differentiation between visually similar species. Okay, there is a few related studies used in this research. One of them is quantifying Batesian mimicry in non-venomous snake using deep learning, and it results with accuracy with method deep convolutional neural network. There is a few contribution of this study. The first one is dataset refinement. It systematically curates the snake class 2023 dataset by addressing mislabeling irrelevant content and class imbalance. It also develops a model to address challenge posed by Batesian mimicry, where non-venomous species resemble the venomous ones. And this research introduced the use of Purwormer in snake species classification, replacing complex attention mechanism with a more efficient spatial pooling method. It proposed a new hierarchical classification framework which groups snakes by mimicry characteristic before identifying species. The research method used in the study, the dataset sourced by Snake Class 2023, there is 10 species of snakes. So the species chosen due to the prevalence of venomous snakes in Indonesia, where non-venomous species mimic the appearance of the venomous ones, and the selection presents similarities between venomous and mimetic non-venomous species. So as we can see here, the non-venomous is resembling with the venomous one, and there is two datasets used in the study. The first one is the original dataset. It maintains snake life splits supplement with rare species, and the second one is the modified or refined dataset that has been cleaned with expert assistance to remove mislabel, irrelevant image, and unidentifiable snake. So to address class imbalance, we use various data augmentation techniques such as random flipping, rotation, and cropping. This is the first architecture of the model. This is Convex multi-branch, which is the architecture that used by the first winner of Snake Life last year. The structure of this model is using shared convex backbone for feature extraction. The first branch is global classification, this one, that predict logits for all species. The second one in the venomous classification with sigmoid gating, and the third one is for the non-venomous or harmless species that ensuring balanced learning. It also using transfer learning, initialized with pre-trained ImageNet weights to improve feature extraction. And the proposed model is using Purwormer as part of the meta framework, replacing self-attention with non-parametric pooling. And the advantage of this model is efficient representation and reduced computational overhead compared to the traditional transformer. This is the architecture of the proposed model. The first one is the major classifier or primary classifier, backbone for group level classification. After that, goes into secondary classifier that resolves species level ambiguity within each group. So this is the experiment result. The first dataset, the original Snake Life dataset that using convex model and three-branch architecture achieves the lowest accuracy of all the models, 0.34, but with the same model and same architecture, and using the refined or modified dataset, it increased the accuracy into 0.56. So this findings shows that expert-driven label correction and target class augmentation could improve model learning and performance. Well, this is the accuracy comparison of different model. As we can see, the proposed model, the blue one, is the highest score. And this is the F1 score table, each species and each model. As we can see, the performer multi-stage or the proposed model is still the highest. Okay, and this is the conversion matrix of the proposed model results. We can take example from Lycodon subsynctus. Lycodon subsynctus is have relationship of Batesian mimicry with Bungarus candidus. So it normally misclassified by Bungarus candidus. But apparently, not only Bungarus candidus, it also misclassified by Xenopeltis unicolor. As another example, the Xenopeltis unicolor also misclassified by Xenocropis trianguligerus, while it should be paired with Najas putatrix. So these findings indicate that mimicry relationship not always strictly binary, and that species can share visual traits with multiple counterparts, and it's complicating the classification task. So there is few limitation from this research. The first one is the data set lacks sufficient species coverage and geographic diversity, potentially introducing bias from underrepresented region. The second one, difficulty distinguishing visually similar species like Najas putatrix and Lycodon subsynctus, suggests mimicry relationships are more complex than binary classification. So more complex hierarchical model needed for this similar lookalike classification. The third one, the model's ability to scale to new species or broader geographic region is untested and limiting its applicability to broader context. And the future scope for this study is developing advanced feature engineering technique and hybrid architecture could help capture nuanced visual traits related to mimicry, improving classification accuracy for visually similar species. The second one is expanding the dataset to include a wider variety of species and geographic region would address bias and enhance the model's applicability in global context. The conclusion of this research is the first one, Batesian mimicry among snakes not always binary. It involves overlapping visual traits with multiple counterparts and making classification challenging. The second one is expert-driven label correction and target class augmentation could improve the dataset reliability and model performance. And the third one, the Pulvermer hierarchical multistage model achieved the highest classification accuracy of 0.84, it outperforming ConvNeXt and VITB16. And this research also highlight the importance of dataset quality and tailored architecture for accurate species identification under mimicry condition. And the last one, the future work could explore advanced learning technique and extend hierarchical frameworks to other taxa and mimicry system. Okay, that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to share our findings.
All right, thank you for Miss Eva for the presentation. And now we move to the Q&A session. Like usual, if you have any question, please raise your hand in the feature of Zoom, or you can type your question to the chat Zoom. If still there is no question from the audience, let me ask you first. So, are you ready, Miss Eva?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the first question is, I'm a little bit curious about how can this research can be applied in the real world, maybe conservation efforts and the public health awareness regarding the venomous snakes. That's my question.
Oh, okay. Thank you for your question. Wait a minute. Okay, so the question is how this research could be applied in conservation and public health awareness.
Yes.
Yeah, in Indonesia, there's some species that resemble between venomous and non-venomous. So it could be danger the people here. And also some non-venomous snake is also killed by people because of their lack of knowledge because it's non-venomous. So in my opinion, this research could help the conservation of endangered species, and also it could help people from distinguishing between the non-venomous and the venomous ones, because they usually have panic when see snakes. So their first instinct is to kill it or hit it with something. And it's very, what can I say? It's very danger for the endangered species. Okay, is that all?
Okay, thank you for the answer. Maybe the next question from the audience. Is there any question? We still have 3 minutes. All right. Is it okay if I add some, maybe one last question, Miss Eva?
Yeah, Miss Salazar.
All right. The last question is, how does the full former model improve the classification accuracy in distinguish visually similar snake species and compared to convolution necks and the vision transformers? Is it clear?
Yes, it's clear. Thank you for the question. Well, actually, that significantly increase the accuracy is the hierarchical approach. So between two resemble snakes, we group before we classify it. So there is two pair. There is two pair of venomous and non-venomous. After we group it into the resemble features, then we goes into the species level. But the pool former models also increase the accuracy. That could be because the efficient feature extraction, because it replaces self-attention with non-parametric pooling and reduce noise and improving focus on the key patterns of the snake. It's also lower computational overhead, and not only the pool former model, it also because we refine the dataset, we remove the mislabels, we remove the unidentified snake from the dataset. And I think that's all that cause it could improve the accuracy.
All right. That's the insightful answer. So I think it's enough for the Q&A session. So maybe Mbak Zunaira, can we stop maybe the time? Yes. We can move to the fourth presenter. Do we have Mr. Sorry, Mr. Akmal Muzaki Bakir for the fourth presenter?
Yes,
With
I'm here.
Yeah, with title Anomaly Detection on Gas Pipeline, Operational Data using using classic seasonal decomposition and level shift, Anomaly Detection Architecture. So, Mr. Akmal, the time is yours.
Okay, I will share screen right now. My screen is clear.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna start. Hello everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for attending of our presentation. So let me introduce myself. My name is Akmal Muzaki, and here I'm with other authors, Mr. Aditya Firman and Miss Vidya Suti. So today let me present. Of our presentation. This is the outline, and will be discussed in the next slides. We are now because gas pipeline are vital for global energy supply, powering electricity and industries. However, the safety and reliability facilities like leaks, infrastructure damage, and inefficiencies, causing safety hazard, system disruption, and economic losses. Early anomaly detection and swift action are crucial to minimize risk and prevent accidents and maintain operation. Previous studies have examined similar datasets, such as ISAN and Astuti, using autoencoded architecture, Al-Jamil et al. Using a random forest and SPM, Aranha and Lopes using LSTM autoencoders, Fernandez et al. Using point class classifier, and Lyon et al. Using digital twin framework and MT-Adegan. So we try to propose a proposed solution, namely using classic seasonal decomposition to separate each component of the trend, seasonal and residual component features. And level shift anomaly detection is used to label each component of the dataset feature based on sudden change in the average value of each feature. Then we integrate the solution with deep learning model approach, such as LSTM and VIGAN for anomaly detection. So our contribution to this research is to combine seasonal decomposition and level shift using a deep learning model approach. This research begin with the data preparation stage, which includes data collection, initial data analysis, handling of missing values, data normalization, and feature visualization after going through the entire pre-processing process. The next stage is data labeling. When labeling is done based on the smallest residual, the features with the smallest residual at a certain frequency is applied, while the rest are rejected. After the features are transformed into frequency components, labeling is performed to determine whether a feature is considered an anomaly in particular row. The third stage, data acquisition, includes data validation in time series format, data division into chain and test, and for the chain data, we applied augmentation process using the Adasin approach to overcome class imbalance. After all these stages are implemented, modeling is carried out using the LSTM and VIGAN methods with evaluation based on the F1 score metrics. This our dataset consists of 17 features, of which 4 features are related to the physical component of gas, and the rest are component of gas composition. This dataset was taken in the period from 1st August 2019 to 31 July 2021, resulting in 120K total of data. In this case, there is a dataset with more than 90% missing values that we did not use in the analysis because there are too many missing values. While data with relatively few missing values, such as less than 5% of the total data, will be filled with the majority value of the feature. After that, this dataset is normalized so that the dataset training process is applied on the same scale. Especially for feature containing gas composition, the PCR process is applied to reduce all these features into one complete feature. Technically, seasonal decomposition is used to break down components that contain trend and seasonal patterns based on the residual values, while level shift is used to label by detecting sudden change based on the IQR threshold value. The formula for calculating the threshold value is the same as the sensitivity value multiplied by IQR value. LSTM uses a double layer LSTM, while VIA-GAN means versional autoencoder based on genetic adversarial network. VIA is used to encode original data into latent representation by considering probabilistic distribution, while GAN utilizes generators and discriminators to improve the quality of reconstruction result. The metric used is a one score, which is to see the comparison of precision in recall, especially in cases with unbalanced and class distribution, such as anomaly detection. This is the implementation flow. The implementation flow involves dividing the gas dataset into 5 features to create new dataset, which are decomposed to analyze trends, seasonality, and other components. Selecting only frequencies with the smart residual for modeling. Each decomposed feature undergoes a 7 labeling process, resulting in 35 datasets representing different sensitivity thresholds. These datasets are further processed with a feature sequence shifting 24 steps backwards every hour. The data is split into train and test set with Bayesian augmentation applied to train data. LSTM and VIGAN models are used to model all 35 datasets, 70 experiment total, leveraging LSTM ability to capture temporal patterns and VIGAN's effectiveness in identifying anomalies through latent representation and realistic data generation. Finally, the best performing dataset for each model is selected based on F1 score and sensitivity threshold, yielding 5 optimal models with corresponding sensitivity values. Next, we conducted an experiment to perform frequency selection and labeling. Based on the fact here that in the pressure feature, the best frequencies decomposition is in monthly, temperature is in weekly, energy rate is in weekly, volume rate is in weekly, and gas composition is in monthly, which means that each frequency that has the smart residual is able to capture and explain data variation that have trend or seasonal patterns. This will be applied in the next experiment. Next, we use a Bayesian method for the augmentation process that will be implemented of the trend data. The reason we use a Bayesian method is the Bayesian strategy produces synthetic data based on the distribution of minority data by taking into account the proximity of minority data to majority data, thereby increasing the representation of anomalous data without changing the original structure. Okay, this table represents the best result of each feature along with its sensitivity value for each model from 70 experiments that have been done previously. LSTM is trained using double layer LSTM for 5D epoch, Adam optimizer, and binary cost entropy as the loss function, while VIGAN is trained using latent Gaussian distribution for 1000 epoch in the discriminator section to regenerate fake data from VIE encoder, Adam optimizer, and binary cost entropy as the loss function. Based on the table, the LSTM model outperformed VIGAN in anomaly detection for all features, with the largest margin of improvement observed for energy rate up by 15% and volume rate up by 14%. This demonstrates LSTM's superior ability to capture temporal patterns in the data, make it more effective for time series anomaly detection. In the other side, the performance gap for pressure and gas composition feature is smaller compared to others, suggesting that the reconstruction capabilities of VIGAN can still handle certain data distribution effectively. Furthermore, temperature, energy rate, and volume rate feature exhibited a significant difference in performance, indicating that the temporal patterns in these data types were better captured by LSTM architecture. As illustrated on the figure, the red dots represent a point identified as anomalous. Specifically, pressure exhibits 3 anomalies with an average frequency of 0.95 per month. Temperature registers 5 anomalies with a frequency of 1.58 per month. Energy rate and volume rate each show 9 anomalies with a frequency of 2.84 per month. Gas composition, which is relatively stable, identifies 2 anomalies with a frequency of 0.93 per month. And for the conclusion is the LSTM-based model effectively captures temporal dependencies and high accuracy is anomaly detection. And seasonal decomposition and level shift approach improve feature interpretability by separating trends and residuals. Future work can be realized to be integrated into real-time monitoring systems such as dashboard and visual analytic tools. Expandable AI can improve system interpretability. Once again, thank you for being to our presentation. maybe that's all from us. See you again on other occasion.
All right, thank you for the insightful presentation, Mr. Akmal. So, ladies and gentlemen, we now have the Q&A session. Please, if you have any question, raise your hand. All right, first we have Mr. Muhammad Rizky Wiratama. Please, your question.
Okay, thank you for your wait. Hello? Okay. Thank you for your explanation of your presentation today. Let me introduce myself. I am Muhammad Rizky Wiratama, one of the presenter at ICADE 2025. I want to ask to Mr. Akmal. Previously, I had only heard the terms level safe anomaly detection and classic seasonal decomposition. Specifically and easily understood, how do they work and how are they related? Thank you.
Okay, your question is related to compare about classic seasonal decomposition and level shift anomaly, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, thanks for your question. So, classic seasonal decomposition in this case is used to separate time series data, based on the seasonal scheme, yeah, identify from its residual value. If in one row of data show the frequency with the smallest residual value, if then the frequency is used a reference for the labeling process because the variation of data can be explained. Otherwise, it will be removed here. So we just scrape data with the smallest residual. While the level shift anomaly detection in this case is used, while the level shift anomaly detection in this case is used to identify the labeling of each scheme that occurs, which is then identified based on the sensitivity threshold value. So we make seven experiments for labeling process, namely the threshold value for determining whether data is considered anomalies or not. So maybe that's our explanation.
Thank you for your explanation. But I still find some misunderstanding, such as can you explain again the meaning of the sensitivity threshold that was mentioned? Thank you.
Okay. Based on the screen here, let me clarify again. The sensitivity threshold value is a parameter that determines the limit of change in the data that are considered of anomalous. That the threshold value is determined using an IQR-based approach to adjust how sensitive the detection is to change in value. Maybe is our explanation.
Okay. Thank you for your explanation, Mr. Akmal.
I will return it to moderator.
All right, thank you for Mr. Muhammad Rizky Wiratama. Now we can move to Miss Wida Dwianti.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Moderator. Previously, I am Wida Dwianti, one of the presenter at ICA Days 2025. I would ask the question to Mr. Akmal. Perhaps I would like to add a little clarification regarding what are the most striking differences between LSTM and Bayesian in terms of the result, and also you can explain the advantage and disadvantage of each model.
Okay. Let me clarify of your question. The question is, LSTM perform better than VIGAN. Why LSTM can improve for our research, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for your question. Maybe I will clarify I will clarify a little. In the case of our experiment, LSTM performed better than Viagon in detecting anomalies in time series data, with a higher F1 score on all features. So our advantage of LSTM is its ability to capture temporal patterns, but it's slower in training and prone to overfitting. We can see that the visualization on the screen. So meanwhile, Viagon is better at representing complex of data distribution, but is less effective in detecting sequence based anomalous patterns. Maybe that's all from us.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Akmal. Ms. Moderator, can I ask one more question?
Yes, please.
Okay. Maybe this is last from me related to the visualization dashboard. Can you explain again about the analysis dashboard in the conclusion chapter and what is the strategy? Thank you.
Okay, sure. Okay, sure. The analytic dashboard maybe provides a visualization of anomalous detection result in a real-time monitoring system. I mean, implementation strategies may involve integrating the model with a cloud-based integration system and the operational system. This providing early warning notification to operators and enabling trend analysis for data-driven for the decision making. That's probably that's all I can think of right now.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Akmal.
All right, I think that's all from our Q&A session. Is it clear, Miss Wida?
Yes, it's totally clear. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your question. And now, thank you to Mr. Akmal Muzaki Bakir for your time and the presentation, also the insightful answer. So maybe we can move to our last presenter, Mr. Alfian Fakrezi, with title Implementation of Prioritized Experience Replay and Noisy Network on DQN for Fertilization Management in Soybean. So, Mr. Alfian, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable presenter and all members, today I will present my research and data implementation of prioritized experience replay and noisy network on DFQ network for fertilization management in soybean. Agriculture is a critical foundation for food security and the global economic. However, it faces major challenges, including climate change, soil degradation, and unpredictable environmental conditions. In Indonesia, soybean are a key source of protein, contributing 10% to the national protein intake. Despite this, 60% of the soybean consumed are imported. Primarily, for local food needs like tofu and tempeh. Low local production is mainly due to suboptimal practice. Currently, fertilization method for soybean, which rely on traditional non-precision technique, lead to inefficient resource use and contribute to soil degradation and water pollution. Soybean plant require a balanced application of macronutrients such as nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium at various stages of growth. Previous studies on smart farming using reinforcement learning have a focus on nitrogen fertilization for crops like corn and wheat.
However, little attention has been given to soybean crop, which need a balanced application of multiple macronutrients. My background of my research, the first one, research on multi-fertilization of soybean based on RL is still rare. Second, there were problems in first research related to deep Q-network, which was less than optimal in determining action. Third, the need for 3 fertilizer for soybean because first research only focus on nitrogen. And last, the optimization algorithm has not been implemented in the DFQ network. Novelty. Previous research use deep Q learning without optimization method. This studies efficient and intelligent nitrogen management system that utilize reinforcement learning and crop simulation, showing increased efficient in nitrogen use for corn crop. The weakness of this study is that it recommends constant fertilization without any change to adjust to environment condition. In my research, I use deep Q network with optimization method. The optimization method is Vertex experience replay and noisy network. The DKN with VIR and noisy network method effectively practice a combination action for optimal fertilization strategies, showing superior performance in learning optimal strategy compared to other method. Weakness in my studies, will this combination improve acceleration and learning efficiency? The main drawback are additional complexity, potential bias, and sensitivity to hyperparameter, which can complicate implementation and training stability. System model. In my system model, I use 10 data like nitrogen, phosphor, potassium, the acidity of the soil, moisture, daily maximum temperature, daily minimum temperature, daily average temperature, daily rainfall, and growth phase. Then action space for this study, I have 5 action space. 0 for no fertilization, 1 for urea fertilizer, 2 for SP 36 fertilizer, 3 for KCl fertilizer, and 4 for fertilization for fertilizer combination. And reward in the system are given to agent based on the success of action to meet nutrient target: nitrogen, phosphor, potassium, and consider factors such as soil moisture and evapotranspiration. The total reward reflect the achievement of optimal nutrient and environmental conditions that support plant growth. The hyperparameter that I use in the system are batch size 64 in the replay buffer, discount factor 0.9, epsilon decoy 0.95, epsilon mean 0.001, learning rate 0.01, TAU 0.0001, alpha 0.6, beta 0.4. All the system yang initially the state is initialized and stored in the experience replay database. Once the database contain more than one mini batch or random mini batch of size 64 is selected. The data within the mini batch is then processed neural network, where the input layer consists of a state, action, reward, and next step. The network has two hidden layer, each with 64 neuron. The output of the network represents the key value, which guide the agent action of policy. The improved learning efficient and Vertex experience replay is used to prioritize experience with higher temporal different error, ensuring that the agent learn from the most impactful experience. Additionally, noisy network are incorporated to add noise to the network web, enhancing exploration and preventing the agent from becoming stuck in suboptimal solution by promoting more diverse action. Whenever the key value for fertilization action change, they are updated to the key target and the loss function is calculated, which determine the weight adjustment for the neural network after the agent select an action. It is applied to the environment, leading to change in the state and the reward. This workflow continues in a loop until the termination condition is met. Result: the experiment listed in figure show that deep neural network with Virtus experience and neural network on orange line achieve an average reward of 590 after 1000 episode with conversion at episode 300, slightly outperforming deep neural network in blue line, which has an average reward of 570 and convergence at episode 200. VVO and green line demonstrate good stability but has a lower average reward around 500, indicating reward efficient than deep neural network and deep neural network with Virtus experience replay and Bayesian network. I2C on red line perform the worst with an average reward of 200 after stabilization, showing less effectiveness in learning optimal strategies. Deep neural network with Virtus experience replay and Bayesian network show an even distribution of action with action 2, action 4 being dominant, indicating fertilization. Then deep neural network emphasize action 2 and action 3 with less frequent use of action 4. A2C display an even distribution of action but has a low reward, indicating less effectiveness in learning the optimal strategy. VPO prefer action 1 urea fertilizer, action 2, action 4 and action 3 use less frequent. Conclusion: the conclusion of the studies is that the deep neural network model using Virtus experience replay and Bayesian network outperform other method by more than 5%, with a more even distribution of action in one episode that adapt to its environment. Future research, adding data to the model environment so that the model can better match the real world. That's all my presentation. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Alfian. So,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question, please raise your hand or maybe type your question to the chat. While waiting the others' question, please, Mr. Alfian, I have one question. So, in DeepQ network or DQN, so what is the main challenge using DQN for fertilization management in soybean, and how does your approach to address them?
Thank you for the question. The challenge of DeepQ network before my research, DeepQ network is suboptimal condition or action on DQN action on DQN selalu tetap, misalkan campur bahasa Indonesia boleh ya. Jadi DQN sebelumnya itu pada penelitian sebelumnya ada beberapa penelitian DQN untuk agrikultur. Nah, kelemahan dari DQN sendiri pada penelitian tersebut membahas bahwa action atau DQN sendiri itu terjebak pada kondisi-kondisi suboptimal. Nah, kondisi suboptimal ini secara sederhananya si DQN ini menyarankan aksi-aksi atau menyarankan tindakan yang dianjurkan untuk environment itu hanya pada satu saja. Misalkan misal pada kasus saya, jadi si DQN pada riset sebelumnya itu ya hanya menyarankan pupuk A saja, pupuk A saja. Nah, sedangkan untuk deep network menggunakan Virtuous Experience Replay dan Noise Network, si agent ini dapat eh, dapat eh, hmm, dapat apa ya namanya tuh ya? Dapat jadi sederhananya, jadi si aksi dari DKN-nya itu eh, dapat menyesuaikan dengan kondisi lingkungannya. Jadi misalkan kondisi lingkungannya itu kurang dari kondisi ideal, atau misalkan nitrogen, fosfor ataupun kaliumnya kurang dari kondisi normal, si DKN ini dengan menggunakan Perdanesi Network menyarankan pemupukan eh, untuk nutrisi tersebut. Mungkin seperti itu, Mbak. Sorry saya pakai bahasa Indonesia.
It's okay. Okay, thank you. Maybe the others have another question. We still have time here. Okay, maybe one last question, Mr. Alvin, is it okay?
Yes.
Okay. So what are the from your answer, so what are the potential real-world application of this research beyond the soybean fertilization management?
Uh, for my research can be implement to sensor and integrating to software like the web or application mobile.
All right, so you do you want to develop using maybe the what the visualization, increase the visualization, is it correct?
Mm, Yes.
Okay.
After that.
All right. All right. Thank you for the answer. So maybe the others have another question. All right. Maybe one last question, Mr. Alfian.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how does the use of PER or prioritized experience replay and NN
Noisy
noisy
network.
networks improve the performance of DQN, but
Uh,
compared to the other reinforcement learning techniques?
The reinforcement learning before hanya gunain tanpa optimasi untuk uh, untuk research ini kenapa menggunakan pair mungkin ya seperti itu, Mbak. Kenapa menggunakan uh, VAR or Noisy Network? Uh, because uh, uh, Deep Q Network before riset sebelumnya gitu uh, hanya jadi untuk pengalaman-pengalaman aksi, kondisi dan juga reward pada hasil DKI-nya ini semuanya dimasukkan ke replay buffer. Sedangkan dengan menggunakan Virtuous Experience Replay berdasarkan temporal different error, nah, dapat menghemat database, kemudian si DeepQ network-nya juga dapat bekerja lebih efisien karena hanya memilih aksi, reward, dan juga next step-nya itu yang berbeda-beda seperti itu. Kemudian kenapa menggunakan noisy network? Nah, karena eh, karena eh, ini sebenarnya sejalan dengan kenapa menggunakan pair di sini. Nah, pair di sini tuh intinya sederhananya mungkin ya biar lebih cepat. Jadi agar noisy network ini dapat bereksplorasi dan eksploitasinya lebih cepat gitu, Mbak. Seperti itu.
All right. Yeah, it's already clear now, Mr. Alfian. So maybe thank you for your session, your
Yes.
presentation, also your answer. Okay, Mbak Zunaira, you can stop the time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so this concludes the parallel session. On behalf of ICADES 2025, I would like to thank you all our presenters for their exceptional contribution and insights. I would also like to extend my gratitude to all participants for their engagement and through provoking question. So we hope this session has been both informative and inspiring. So how about now, Miss Zunaira? Do we have a photo session, if I'm not mistaken? All right, ladies and gentlemen, except the presenter, all the presenters, I invite you to open your camera so we can take our last session to the photo session to closing this session. Okay, Mr. Akmal, can you open your camera? All right. Miss Eva. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Miss Zunaira, you can count.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Once again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Miss Olaza.
Thank you. Thank you for your attention and your attendance. So I will close this session. And Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Also, good afternoon, everyone.
To compare the employees before using the